Yeah, I think TV and digital video are always bucketed in that upper funnel awareness driver. And we've spent a lot of time over the last, I'd say, 5 years finding ways to kind of make that into a story that shows that it is truly a full funnel business driver for us as a business. We've done that a multitude of ways, but I think the biggest one for us has been investing in third-party measurement partners that are able to tie that exposure into these large format video platforms into actual business outcomes for us, which has been a huge undertaking, but also incredibly rewarding and validating because we've been able to really prove that those do still work for us as a brand.
Caroline, third-party validated KPIs are central to how EssilorLuxottica defends its media investments. Why does that validation have to come from outside, however? What does that independence or interdependence actually buy you?
It buys us a different level of trust, I think, especially with executive leadership and financial teams. There's that age-old saying of we don't want partners to grade their own homework, but it's true. We don't want partners to grade their own homework. When we're able to, I think, use a third-party measurement partner that is able to grade all partners on an even playing field and kind of create this deduplicated picture of the role that it's playing in our media mix, in our marketing mix, it really just creates a stronger level of trust that it's a little more irrefutable from the finance team, from the leadership teams, that what we're saying we truly were able to prove out worked.
Caroline, offline behavioral data integrated with TV and CTV measurement. What does that combination reveal that neither could show on its own?
Having offline data for our team, especially, I oversee the Sun retail portfolio. So a large portion of our business is driven by brick and mortar. By having that offline data, we are truly able to prove the purpose and the role that each of these large format videos play from a linear, from a streaming standpoint. And in today's kind of digital landscape, a lot of times attribution models or digital ad servers, they rely on less touch. And when we're thinking about less touch, those will never pop. They'll never have a strong ROI. But by being able to invest in these offline measurement partners and integrate it into the actual targeting as well, we're creating this feedback loop of, one, proving that these large format video formats work, then kind of feeding those become our new targeting parameters in streaming TV, in OLV, even in linear TV with advanced targeting and advanced audiences with data-driven linear. So that's been really big for us to be more accurate, more targeted, and prove the success of what we're doing.
Caroline, it's hard to imagine when our economy wasn't in a state of volatility, but it's safe to say that media budgets are under more and more intense scrutiny. How does tying measurement to real-world outcomes change the conversation with finance and leadership, given that economic volatility?
It makes it easier to defend. And in today's economic climate, our job is constantly defending the role that media plays in the marketing mix and in the business mix as well. So having real-world measurement that is validated by a third-party partner, we are just kind of stopping the gaps of them being able to say, well, we don't trust this or we don't believe it. We're really allowing our team to come forward with irrefutable metrics that finance understands, that executive leadership understands. The higher up you get, the more you talk in very specific business outcomes, sales, traffic, how are you driving the business, ROI. And when you solely rely on standard media metrics, those are a little bit easier for them to say, it's great, but when you have metrics such as traffic to store or actual credit card transaction data to tie back to someone saw your ad in these video formats and then they came into your store and they walked through the door, they purchased XYZ amount, it becomes a much easier conversation to defend. And when we're defending over and over and over again, it becomes really important.
So that measurability that you just outlined really speaks to the ways that linear and streaming have become more optimizable in real time. So how does EssilorLuxottica actually act on that? And are you adjusting investment mid-flight, messaging, or both?
All of the above. I think we took a crawl, walk, run approach. The first crawl was finding the right measurement partners and really validating that truly what we thought worked did work. Once we got to that point to be able to say, okay, no, linear really is driving X for us. Streaming is really driving Y for us. We've now moved into a place where we're creating that feedback loop that I talked about of measuring the actual performance to a business outcome, feeding it into machine learning. I think, everyone's talking about AI. I think it's a word that you can't go a conversation, especially here at Possible, without hearing. But with the adoption of AI, we've now found solutions and partners that we are able to take that transaction and traffic data, feed it into the machine, and then start finding audiences that look exactly like the consumers that we've seen were driven to store from our media. That's really allowing us, I think, to start to optimize in real time and become even more reactive to the market, especially with what's going on today, both from an economic standpoint, from a political standpoint. It's really allowing us to make moves very quickly when we need to, without it also being a huge manual undertaking. I think if you think about linear TV, particularly 10 years ago, it was very hard. It was almost like buying print. You committed to what you were going to buy, you'd go to market, you'd slate it, you put your ISKIs, it hit the market, there's nothing you can do. To be able to have now these optimization levers, I think is just making brands able to be more reactive, more intelligent, and also more personalized for their consumer of what they truly want to see from you as a brand.